Welcome. This is the Drupal usability meeting for June 18th, 2021. I'm Benji Fisher, moderating, and also in the meeting are Aaron McHale, who's sharing the screen, Offer Shal, and Thomas Howell. And Aaron, take it away.
Sure. So this is issue 85494. You can already tell it's a pretty older issue. It was first created in 2006, so that is a long time ago. But the issue is about using email verification when changing a user email address. And the idea is that the moment when a user registers on a Drupal site, they can get an email verification. But if they go in and change their email address, they won't get any sort of verification email confirming. So that's kind of what the issue was looking to address, and it's been around for a long time. And I think it's finally it's currently sitting as RTBC, and it's probably at the point where it's almost ready to be committed. So because of how old it is, and we think there may have been a usability review done in the past, but I had initially tagged it again because it was probably quite old, and we thought it'd be worth maybe doing just another one to make sure it's up to sort of modern standards of in terms of what we would expect from an issue like this. So we have some user interface screenshots here, which I can open a new tab, this one, for instance. So for instance, this would be the notification for an old, one of the notification emails. This is what the, open this image as well. So this is what the would look like if the email address needs to be validated after the user changes it. So the kind of message they would get on their screen. And yep, let me go back here. Any other screenshots? That's it. Benji, did you say we're going to try? I think you were going to try and get a local site running to test it with. I don't know if did you have a chance to get that ready at all?
Give me another couple of minutes.
No problem. So yeah, I don't know if anyone has any initial thoughts on just in terms of the while Benji's doing that, in terms of the wording, for instance, of this particular message that you get up here, or if on the wording on, oh, that went too far, on the sort of the general suggested wording here, because it looks like there's actually two emails. So you get the email that notification for they go to the old email address, and then the notification that goes to the new email address. Of course, these are just templates that the site administrator would go in and change. But I guess we could kick it off if anybody has any initial thoughts, or if you think this kind of the messaging here looks okay.
I think in general it looks okay to me. The only thing I would recommend is that there should be a default behavior where you can send the same email to both addresses if someone prefers.
Okay, so yeah. So that would be like when they go into change the email address in here.
Mm-hmm. It's just like there may be scenarios where someone doesn't want to have to maintain two separate email addresses. It's a trivial scenario, but
yeah,
it happening. It's just there's not that option. I guess the recommendation, if we didn't suggest any changes, would be they cut and paste the same message into two places. So I would just view the best practice to be to allow. It's sort of like mailing or when you have an address field for billing and home address, and you have a checkbox that says use billing, use home and billing is the same.
I think a little differently because of recent emails. Like I think when I changed GitHub email to my previous email, I'm getting an email that's more like, we want to let you know that, but it also has some kind of a link or what to do in case this is not me. Like if it's all good, you don't do anything. That's kind of usually the message. But if it is a concern, here's where you click, or here's what you should do.
Right. And again,
Or,
like I
yeah.
think that would be most cases, but I could see a site administrator not wanting to have two separate ones. It's,
Okay.
I think it's an edge case. So I'm just bringing it up to consider. That's all. And I would have just made it a default where like it was sort of like send. Yeah, I would have a checkbox that said send to old mail, checkbox sending to new, because you could also say, hey, you don't want to notify people via email. There's no way to opt out of this behavior. So what happens if the Drupal site doesn't have access to email? What's the behavior going to be? Does that mean it just use up a bunch of errors? Is that a way to take the site down? So.
Okay, so from what I gather, there's like something more in the old email that kind of gives you the option to effectively undo the change, or like if you get this email and you're like, oh, I didn't anticipate receiving this, you could then
In the emails I'm getting, I didn't see any undo link, but more like notification. If it's all good, nothing happened. If it's not, here's what you should do. But it wasn't like click here to cancel the operation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually missing from the old email. There isn't a link in the old email for report this to the administrator if this is incorrect. So that's an additional comment. That's a good thing to point out. I would definitely do that. I want to make certain. Yeah. I'm just trying to think through. I think it's fine, but I'm trying to think through what happens with the new email if it is a malicious individual and they've changed it to the new email address.
Mm-hmm.
I think they already have to know all the information that is in that email. I just want to make certain that they can't send themselves the user display name, like user information. I'm assuming not. I'm assuming user mail change URL is what you'd get if you just sent yourself the mail change. There's what we want is the new email address should not contain any information that makes it possible to try and change things. You want the change to come from the old email. Like if it is incorrect, as Ofer pointed out, you want to be able to say, hey, I didn't change my email address. Click here to notify someone. And that's in the old. And then the issue that I was talking about was there should be 3 possible situations. One is revert to old, which is sending no notification. Use present, which is send notifications to old and new. And then the third one is use the same message for both email addresses. Those would be the 3 states that in a perfect world, I would like to see as options. The default should be this. This is absolutely correct. This is what the default should be, but including some ability to, in the old email, know what to do when this is, when their account has been hacked or something like that. So I hate using that word, but you basically want to know what to do, like getting it to your old email address and having no instructions on what to do if it wasn't supposed to be changed means that the email is practically useless.
Yeah.
I have another question, because I realize the emails I've been getting are usually a service like GitHub, right? There is like a department that would take care of things, or Amazon. If I have an issue with it here, this is someone's site. It could be admin. Like maybe we can notify the old email of this is the new email address that it's going to. So at least they know, they have some more details of what is changing.
Don't want to do that. You don't want to put email. So let's say your old email account was hacked and that's the reason you're changing it to the new
one.
But you made an interesting point. You probably need to have a field for who they should notify. So let's say in the email to the old account, there's a link, email or notify, or maybe the return to this person. It doesn't have to be the sysadmin of the website. We need a response email address so that if this change has been made incorrectly, the individual has a path to go, and it's configurable for the site administrator so they can say, okay, this is the email address that you should be responding to notify if this is an erroneous change.
Yeah, I like it. I think because these are Drupal sites with no department, this is what's going to help that department, if it exists, to handle that.
Yeah, or even a single administrator. It means you
Yep.
could have a like mail change address, etc.
So I guess because these are of course templates, and I think every site is different, and it's going to have different business logic around that. How much of that is something we would want to be a part of the, if you like, the default template here, and how much of that is something that a site is going to, you know, want to customize and configure for themselves? Like, is that something we would want to include anything about by default, because that can that you know, that kind of business logic is really varies depending on the site.
Well, you have to ask the question, why are we sending a message to the old email address? What is the purpose of this?
Mm-hmm.
If it is not actionable, then it's practically meaningless. Like there's no practical effect of, if I got this email because somebody changed my email address and password on Google, and there's no instructions, there's no contact, there's nothing. I've just been told something happened, I panic, but there's no recourse.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no, as a site builder, there's no configurable recourse. I could understand that, okay, the body is relatively simple in this use case. And you don't change it, but I would normally use, like, I would default to using the site's response email address, or whatever we use to configure for the site, for contacting in general.
Yeah.
It's just behaviorally, this feels incomplete from the perspective of, if this is a security measure, and ostensibly I would consider this a security measure, you have to allow a security response of some sort.
So would you say then the default template should also include maybe something like the token for the site email address, and maybe a line saying, you know, contact, like it could say something like, contact the site if there's, like, if this is incorrect, or like contact, you know, like site name at, and then the site mail address if that's incorrect.
Yeah, and that's, and maybe have in the instructions at the top, in the usage, like give instructions around like what they can do. I mean, that's all documentation stuff. Like in documentation,
Mm-hmm.
you can put recommendations on different ways to configure that for different email addresses. I just think that based on what Ofer mentioned and just my own experience, this is supposed to be there from, again, a security, because otherwise, I don't know why you would send out messages you can't do something about.
Mm-hmm.
It's
So
confusing.
I noticed that in, and if I zoom in a bit, I noticed up here the messaging here gives you some tokens that can be included, and the site email address isn't one of those, but maybe that's one that then should be made available as a token.
I see there a
And
cancel URL. Did you see that? The last option.
Oh yeah, okay.
But again, we should, with security wise, think about, or maybe that's up to the site administrator. Like, if the account was hijacked, is that a problematic?
Yeah, maybe
Thing to
then
have.
maybe that's something that could be included in the default template, I guess, would be that, because that seems like something that you would then want to put. Okay. But I guess
And
just take Thomas's point around, like, what if the previous email address was compromised in some way?
No, that's what I'm saying. I think it should not be there because of these concerns.
Mm-hmm.
well, no, like you have to be the cancel URL. Like I, just putting in a bunch of tokens without an explanation, it's really like I can see that ending very
Mm-hmm.
poorly. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what cancel URL does. Does that cancel the email change, or does that cancel? I'm assuming that cancels the email change.
Mm-hmm.
But it just says cancel URL. I mean, it could also mean just cancel my account.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it should be mail dash cancel dash URL if that's the.
Right. Because yeah, that could be the URL to cancel the account. We actually don't know at the moment.
And I like, yeah, and I mean, there should be strong cautions around just sending out one-time login URLs. Like, I, that's just very wow to me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, um, like there's just some of these
Yeah.
things are low risk, some of these are high risk, but they're all kind of grouped together. But additionally, I still feel like there should be a default path forward for how to respond if it was incorrect. And it shouldn't be something that just undoes the change. It's something that no, it should be a notification. I mean, in a perfect world, there's a dashboard in Drupal and the site administrator just gets a message there rather than getting some like massive number of emails that flood them. But again, that's way out of scope for this, and I'm don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill. I feel that every security warning should come with instructions on what to do if you receive that security warning.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
as it is not actionable. It's not instructive. It's just, hey, somebody changed your email address. Good luck.
Okay. So if we were to make a recommendation here, would it be that more work is needed on this particular email, and specifically around making something actionable, like whether that be like a link or the email address for the site?
Yeah, that sounds like a reasonable recommendation. I mean, I love the functionality. I think this is indeed missing. I want to see it in. So I don't want to throw up, like I would rather ignore my first comments and just hyper focus on this. We can mention that maybe they want to consider an add-on issue or a follow-up issue to talk about the other things. But if they don't want to, it shouldn't block this going in. But I do
Sure.
think
Yeah.
that they need to change the body a little bit.
I think that could be, yeah. So that could be either. And did we want to make any recommendations around maybe more description around the tokens that are available? Because as you said, some of them are a bit vague, like this cancel URL. Is that the user cancel URL, or is that like to cancel the mail change? Like that's not clear. So maybe that needs to be maybe there's something. But again, that I don't think that's a problem that's unique to this particular form. That may be like that may also be a problem with these other forms here. So but again, that might be something that this issue could look at or could be done in a follow-up.
Yeah, I would probably like because it's not there by default, it probably can live in a follow-up.
Yeah.
Anything to get this in and not block a fix.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I'm afraid I'm not going to get a local site spun up for some reason. But just looking at this, do we need the word information in the subject line?
Yeah, it seems a bit wordy.
Yeah, you can kill it. That's email change is descriptive enough.
Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, I would have said email change notification, not information.
Hmm.
And unfortunately,
like
I have to
the-
leave early today, so I apologize. I'm going to be leaving at the half hour.
Okay.
It's all right. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Changing information to notification or just removing it. Any other thoughts on this sort of messaging here? I'm not sure if this is the, like, is it too, like, the word, like, words like validated, is that too technical sounding, or? Because I would have went for verified instead of validated.
Yeah, I think I like verify better than validate, and I'd also like to make it your updated email address.
Sorry, can you say that again, Benji? I think you were, I didn't quite catch the last thing you said.
I was suggesting you must verify your updated email address.
And then continuing with, would you continue with further instructions, or?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think that sentence is clear, but yeah, I think you're right. That's probably needed for this sentence.
Or how about confirm rather than verify?
Yeah, needs to be confirmed. That sounds more.
Again, active voice. You must confirm.
Yeah. Or you must confirm your. You must confirm your updated. You must confirm your email address. Confirm your new email address. So if we said something like you must confirm your new email address, then it goes on to say further instructions have been sent to your new email address. So it's almost like it's repeating the same text.
You must confirm this change.
I definitely like the word confirm better than validated.
Any other suggestions? So Aaron, do you think you can update the issue with the requested changes? So we want change to this. We want to strike the word information from the subject line. And I think most important is that both emails have to be actionable.
Yes.
So I think the default template should include the site email address.
Yeah, or whatever this cancel URL is. If that's the if that is actually a URL to cancel the request, then perhaps maybe that.
No, I think as Thomas points out, if the reason you're changing your email address is that the old one has been compromised, then we don't want to give the old address that sort of control
Right.
over
Yeah.
the process. We just want to be able to contact the site administrator.
Yep. Okay, cool. Okay, well, if there's no other comments on that, then that's fine, and I can update the issue.
And I guess also if on the other hand, the old email address is still the right one, but somehow someone hacked it and is trying to change your account, chances are they will finish the process and click the confirmation and update the account and reset the password and blah, 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 before you have a chance to see the message and react to it. So probably in that situation, any URLs you provide with special tokens attached to them are not going to be valid. So contacting the site administrator is again the right thing to do.
Yeah, and then if a site does have like more specific processes in place and business logic, then they can of course update this template to meet those needs.
Right.
Okay, great. I don't have anything else to add on this, so I will probably once I get the recording out, because I'll need to go back and review it, but I'll update the issue and yeah, hopefully, I think most of it we discussed could probably be pushed to follow-ups because it'd be great to get this in at least. And then there's nothing here that's, I think, too critical to block it at this stage.
Yeah, and as for an explanation of the tokens, a display element inside a display element is usually frowned upon, but we could have an additional, did I say display element? I meant details. We could
Right.
have a third details element default closed at the bottom of the page with more information on the available tokens.
It strikes me that we have in core actually no, we don't. We have the tokens feature in core, but we don't have the UI in core UDTs. I was going to say we have a tokens UI, but that's still a contrib thing. So yeah, maybe there's an argument to bring that into core, but maybe that's the best we can do for now.
Yeah. Also, I think these email templates have sort of limited tokens. I think the ones listed there are the only valid ones for each of these templates. So even if we did have the token UI in core, we wouldn't want the standard token browser.
Yeah, I think because I've used this before, so I think you can, as this is probably doing, it will only show if you're not limiting it, it will show everything, but like it does give you the option to limit what is displayed or provide additional tokens, or it has some like configurable possibilities there.
Okay.
Because I think it creates a render element that you can drop into the render array, which is quite nice.
Okay, then I guess we're about done. Before we sign off, I just want to acknowledge that Christina joined us a little late. Thanks for coming. Is there anything you want to add or anything else you want to talk about, Christina?
Nope, I was just following your conversation, and I'm happy that you're taking care of that. Not super fan of text on the UI, so And apart from that, I don't have anything else for today.
Okay. Great. Well,
Great.
thanks for bringing this up, Aaron. And my gosh, it only takes 15 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't take 15 more.
Okay.
We'll be at Drupal 20 by that point. Maybe.
Okay, great.
Thanks, everyone.
Hope to see you all again next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.